Hey, welcome to the second part on adding and subtracting rational expressions. And this is just practice problems. I felt like this was a challenging lesson and figured I'd give you, looks like 8 more problems of practice. You can try them on your own and then check your solution with mine, or you can use my instructions as a step-by-step guide. You might want to pause the video as you go along. That way you can work out a little bit and then hit play and check to make sure that what you're doing is the correct process. Let's just go ahead and get started here. Let's look for a common denominator. 2x, those are prime factors, so I'm going to put 2x over here. And looking at 9x squared, that's just 3 times 3 times x times x. All right, so what do I need in the common denominator that's not already here? Well, I need a 3 times 3 because I don't see any 3's over in the common denominator. I already have an x right there, and so I need this other x. So then this makes our common denominator to be 2 times 3 times 3, which is 18, and x times x, which is x squared. 18x squared is the common denominator. So we have 7 over 2x is equal to something over 18x squared. And then we also have 1 over 9x squared is equal to something over 18x squared. So what is this? So what did we have to multiply 2x by to get 18x squared? If you look, here's 2x, so we multiplied it by 3 times x, which was 9x. So then you have to multiply the top by 9x to get 63x. And what did you have to multiply 9x by to get 18x? Well, if you look at these three, this right there is 9x squared, which is what we had. So you multiplied it by 2. You have to multiply 9x squared by 2. So you multiply the top by 2, which 1 times 2 is 2. This is an addition problem, so we're going to have 18x squared on bottom. We take 63 and we add it with 2. They are not like terms, and that was 63x. They are not like terms, so we cannot put those together. And you cannot factor anything out of 63 that you can factor out of 2. So right there is the simplified form of what you started out with. Let's look here. Common denominator. 8 is going to be 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, and then there's the g. 12 is 2 times 2 times 3, and then there's the g. So let's go ahead and figure out what our common denominator is going to be. First off, we start by putting 8g on bottom, and then we have to put 12g also in the denominator. So I see a 2, I see a second 2, I do not see a 3, so we have to put the 3 in there, and a g. I see a g in the problem. So we have our common denominator. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24. G is our common denominator. So let's see what we have here. The left fraction. 2g plus 1, and that is over 8g. That's going to be equal to something over our common denominator was 24g. And then the right is G on top, and we have 12G on bottom, and our common denominator of 24G. Let's figure out what we have here. What did we multiply 8G by to get 24G? And it looks like the only thing we multiplied 8G by was that 3. So then we have to multiply the top by 3. Since there's a plus sign there, we're going to put the parentheses. 3 times 2G, 6G, and 3 times 1 is a positive 3. Now, the second fraction of G over 12G, what did we multiply 12G by to get 24G? Well, 2 times 2 times 3 is 12, and there's the G, so there's 12G. What's left over? 2 is the only thing that we didn't cross off. So 12G times 2 is 24G, and G times 2 is 2G. So let's go ahead and figure out what we have for our, we have 6G plus 3 over top of 24G. We are subtracting 2G over 24G, which our common denominator says we're going to have 24G on the bottom. So now 6G minus 2G is going to be 4G, and then we have a positive 3 that goes with that. You cannot factor anything out of 4 and 3, so therefore 4G plus 3 on top, 24G on bottom is the simplified form of what we started out with. So let's go ahead and look here. We are looking to simplify this. Let's look at this. Remember, these are grouped. So 3x plus 1, you cannot factor anything out of it. So 3x plus, and I said plus, I meant minus. 3x minus 1 is the first factor that goes in the common denominator. And the second one is x minus 3. So we have x plus 3 over top of 3x minus 1. And our common denominator is this. The second fraction is 4 over x minus 3. And our common denominator is this. Okay, so let's look at the top one. What did we have to multiply 3x minus 1 by to get the common denominator? Well, there's 3x minus 1, so we multiplied it by x minus 3. And if we did that on the top, we also, or I'm sorry, if we did that on the bottom, we also have to do it on the top. Go ahead and multiply this, and you're going to get x squared minus 9. Down here on the bottom, what did you multiply x minus 3 by to get the common denominator? It looks like you multiplied it by 3x minus 1. So then you multiply the top by 3x minus 1. So 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. This says plus. So let's go ahead and add these two together. Here is our common denominator. Now, what can we combine? Let's say x squared. Can't combine anything with x squared. 12x, you cannot combine anything with 12x, and it's a positive 12x. That's why I put plus. And then now we have negative 9, and remember I was adding this whole time. Negative 9 plus negative 4 which makes a negative 13. Negative 9 plus negative 4 makes negative 13. So look at our little table. We know that it has to multiply to get negative 13 and add up to get positive 12. It's probably going to be a negative 1 and a positive 13, which adds up to get a positive 12. So therefore, we can factor the top into x minus 1, x plus 13, and the bottom 3x minus 1, x plus x minus 3. And go ahead and look there. Is there anything that's in the top that's also in the bottom? Remember, what's inside the parentheses has to match exactly what's inside the parentheses on top and bottom, and I don't see anything. So the answer is either this or this. One of those two. Look at number 5. This one here, right here, since it says x squared minus 25, when you see x squared, you should be thinking, can I factor this into two parentheses? X squared is a perfect square, 25 is a perfect square, and since it says minus, we know that this is the difference of perfect squares, x plus 5, x minus 5. So that's what we've changed that to. Our common denominator, let's go ahead and put both of these into the denominator. X plus 5, x minus 5. So we have those taken care of. Now let's look at this x minus 5. It's already in the denominator, so we do not have to put it in a second time. So we're good to go here. Now let's go ahead and figure out what our equivalent fractions are going to be. So we have 5x plus 3 over top of x plus 5, x minus 5. Now there's nothing additional in the denominator, so I'm going to leave this fraction like that. We don't need to change it because everything that's in the denominator on this fraction is in the denominator on this fraction, and there's nothing additional. So x squared minus 25 was going to be the common denominator. The next fraction is the one that we have to work with. So we have x plus 5, x minus 5 is our common denominator. So what did you multiply x minus 5 by to get the common denominator? There's x minus 5, so it looks like we multiplied it by x plus 5. And therefore you multiply the top by x plus 5 also, which will give you 5x plus 25. We have a plus, so let's go ahead and look. 5x plus 5x is 10x. 3 plus 25 is 28. On the bottom, x plus 5, x minus 5. Can you factor anything out of 10x and 28? You can factor 2 out, which will leave you with 5x plus 14, and then we have x plus 5, x minus 5 on the bottom, and there's nothing there that we can cancel. So either one of these would be your answer. Let's go ahead and look here again. You see another x squared. So perfect squared, and it's minus, so we have a difference of perfect squareds. So this factors to x minus 2 and x plus 2. Okay, I want to go ahead and look at the top right now. I noticed this at the top, negative 5x and negative 10. What number goes into negative 5x that also goes into negative 10? Negative 5 does. And this will leave us with x plus 2. So negative 5x minus 10 becomes negative 5 times the sum of x and 2. And therefore, at this moment, we can cross off x plus 2 and x plus 2. And so what do we have left? We have negative 5 on top, x minus 2 on bottom, and then we're going to be adding that to 4x over x minus 2. Like I said, you should always try and factor out and reduce as much as possible. And by doing this, I think we've saved ourselves a little bit of work here, because we have common denominators, x minus 2. So we'll just add the tops. Negative 5 plus 4x. I'm going to put the variable first, 4x minus 5. And I know it said plus, but remember, this 5 was negative, so that's why I have a negative sign there, or a minus sign. 4x minus 5 on top, x minus 2 on bottom. You cannot factor anything out of 4x or negative 5, and so that's it. You just simplified that. Whoa, this one's a little bit challenging. Not overly difficult though. Let's break this down if we can. So let's make our little chart. 6 and 2, both positive, and positive 13. Two numbers that multiply to get 12, that add up to get 13, or 12 and 1. So we'll have 6x squared plus 12x plus 1x plus 2, and I'm getting 12 and x from there, 12x and 1x from there. What can you factor out of 6x squared and 12x? You can factor out a 6x, leaving you with x plus 2. What can you factor out of x and 2? You can't factor anything out of there, so I'm going to pull the 1 out there. X and 2. And make your two parentheses. 6x plus 1, x plus 2. And let me write that down below here, because I will be erasing that work in one moment. Okay. And now, on the right side, I have x squared plus 5x plus 6. Since a is 1, this one's a little bit easier to factor. Two numbers that multiply to get 6, that add up to get positive 5. Two numbers that multiply to get 6, that add up to get a positive 5. Really, really good question, because I was blanking there for a moment. X plus 2, x plus 3. Okay, 2 and 3 multiply to get 6 and add up to get 5, yes. Okie dokie then. Now we have to figure out what our denominator is. Alright, so let's go ahead and take all of these and put them on the bottom. 6x plus 1, x plus 2. Now, on the right side here, let's look at these factors. X plus 2. X plus 2 is already here, so I don't need to put it in again. So I'm going to cross it off there. Now, x plus 3, is it in there? No, it's not. So let's put it in there. X plus 3. So there is our common denominator. Okay, so here's our common denominator. All right, let's look at the first fraction. We have 3x, 6x plus 1, and x plus 2. Look at our second fraction, x plus 1 over x plus 2, x plus 3. All right, let's look at the top. What did we have to multiply the bottom here, 6x plus 1 and x plus 2, what did we have to multiply that by to get the common denominator? There's 6x plus 1 and there's x plus 2. So it looks like x plus 3 is what we multiplied it by. And then so we do the same on top. Multiply the top by x plus 3. That will be 3x squared. And then 3x times 3 is positive 9x. Down here, what did we have to multiply x plus 2 and x plus 3 by to get the common denominator? Here's x plus 2 and here's x plus 3. So it looks like we multiplied it by 6x plus 1. So then you also have to multiply the top by 6x plus 1. So let's go ahead and do that. X times 6x is going to be 6x squared. X times 1x is a positive x. 1 times 6x is a positive 6x. And 1 times 1 is a positive 1. And we know 1x and 6x will give us 7x. All right. Let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller for you. That way we can have some room here to do some work. All right, so let's look at some things here. We know we are adding. So we have 3x squared plus 6x squared is going to give us 9x squared. We have 9x plus 7x is a 16x. And then we have a 1 here at the end. Plus 1. We know that is over top of our common denominator. 6x plus 1. X plus 2. X plus 3. So let's look at the top. We have 9 and 1. Two numbers that multiply to get 9 that add up to get a positive 16. I don't think it's going to happen because 9 and 1, 3 and 3, 10 and 6. So therefore the top of that fraction is not factorable. So we're going to leave that as our simplified form. And that's what we have. If you wanted to multiply all three of these to get the bottom, to see what it would be, you could do that. But that's not what I'm trying to teach you with this lesson. That was from a different previous lesson. So let's go ahead and look at this one. Let's look here. The one on the right, two numbers that multiply to get negative 12 that add up to get a positive x. Two numbers that multiply to get negative 12. That add up to get a positive x. I believe that's going to be x minus 3, x minus 4, plus 4 maybe? Yes, plus 4. I cannot cancel it with anything on top, x minus 9. We can't cancel anything on top and bottom there, so we're just going to leave it like that. And now let's look at what we have here. We have an x and everything, so I'm going to pull that x out. X cubed divided by x is x squared. Negative x squared divided by x is negative x. And negative 6x divided by x is negative 6. And can you factor x squared minus x minus 6? Two numbers that multiply to give you negative 6 that add up to give you negative 1. It's going to be 3 and 2, right? In which order? Negative 3, positive 2. And so if you notice, x plus 3 is on top. You cannot cancel it with anything on the bottom. So this is what we have. Now let's look at a common denominator. Common denominator. Let's take all of this and put it on the bottom. X minus 3, x plus 2. Now let's look at this denominator. What do we have in the common denominator already? Well, let's look. X minus 3 is already in the common denominator. No need to put it there twice. X plus 4, it's not there. So let's put it in there. I'm going to try and give us some room here. I'm erasing some things. There we go. All right, so we have a common denominator. Common denominator. Let's look at our fractions. We have x plus 3 over top of x minus 3, x plus 2. What did you have to multiply that by to get the common denominator? Well, let's see here. We have x, which is here, x minus 3, which is there, and x plus 2, which is also there. It is x plus 4. You're going to multiply it by x plus 4, so then you have to multiply the top by x plus 4. Go ahead and multiply the top by x plus 4. You get x squared, 3x, x squared. The 3x and the 4x make a positive 7x. And 3 times 4 is a positive 12. Now let's look at our second fraction, x minus 9. And we have x minus 3, x plus 4. What did we have to multiply the denominator by here in order to get the common denominator? Well, let's see. X minus 3 is there. X plus 4 is there. So it looks like we multiplied it by x and x plus 2. So x and x plus 2 is going to give us x squared plus 2x. I did this, that way we could go ahead and multiply this on the top fairly quickly. So let's see, we have 1x times x squared, which is x cubed. 1x times 2x, which is 2x squared. We're going to have negative 9 times x squared, which is negative 9x squared. And then we're going to have negative 9 times positive 2x, which is negative 18x. And we know negative 2x positive 2x and negative 9x will make negative 7x squared. And I guess I left out x squared there. Positive 2x squared minus 9x squared is negative 7x squared. Okie dokie. Let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller, so that way we can finish. Hope that's not too small. Okay, we have a addition problem. So let's go ahead and common denominator is this. Now let's look at what we have. I'm looking at like terms. X cubed is the highest exponent, so I'm putting it first. Second highest exponent is x squared plus, not that one, x squared plus negative 7x squared. So 1x squared minus 7x squared is a negative 6x squared. And now we have positive 7x plus negative 18x, so 7x minus 18x is negative 11x. And then we have a 12 plus 12. Okay, now we should see if we can factor. Let's see if we can factor. Let me get some working space here. We have x cubed minus 6x squared. What can you factor out of those? You can factor x. So that would be x squared minus 6. And then we also have negative 11x plus 12. And you cannot factor anything out of it. So it's kind of like your positive 1. You can factor a positive 1 out of that, but it doesn't change anything. So now look at the parentheses. And I know you guys are typically used to this being side by side, but since I'm running out of room, I wanted to show this to you. What's inside the parentheses is not the same, so therefore you cannot, you can't put x and plus 1 in the parentheses. You can't do this, and because what's inside this parentheses is not inside this parentheses. So this was just checking to see if you could simplify the top. X cubed minus 6x is right here in the top, and negative 11x plus 12 is right here in the top. So since you cannot factor anything out of the top, right here is the simplified form of what you started with. The last one, let's look at this last one. Can't factor anything out of x plus 3 or x minus 2, but 3x minus 6, you can factor a 3 out. So let's look at common denominator. Common denominator, x minus 3 has to go there. That's a plus 3. X plus 3 has to be there. X minus 2 is not already in there, so we put x minus 2 in the common denominator. And let's look at the last fraction, 3. 3 is not in there, so we're going to put, we can put 3 in parentheses. And then x minus 2. X minus 2 is already in the common denominator, so we're not going to add it in again. This isn't. This will not be how the common denominator looks, because we're going to take that 3 and put it out front. And that's how the common denominator should look. All right, 3 fractions, we need 3 common denominators. So the first fraction, we have 5 over x plus 3. Second fraction, 3, and we noticed it's all addition, so that makes it a lot easier. If it's not addition, we have to remember to distribute a -1 to everything. And then the last fraction is 8 over 3 and x minus 2. All right, let's look at the first fraction, 5 over x plus 3. 5 over x plus 3. Well, x plus 3 is multiplied by what? Well, there's x plus 3 in the denominator. So 3 and x minus 2 is what it's multiplied by. So what is 3 times x minus 2? 3x minus 6. Multiply that on the bottom, so then you have to multiply it on the top also to make an equivalent fraction. So now 5 times 3x and 5 times -6. Let's look at the next fraction we have. 3 over x minus 2. What did we multiply x minus 2 by to get this? Well, there's x minus 2. Looks like we multiplied it by 3 and x plus 3. So 3 times x plus 3. 3x plus 9. If you multiplied the bottom by 3x plus 9, you have to multiply the top by 3x plus 9. And that will give you 9x plus 27. And now down here at the last fraction, what did you multiply 3 and x minus 2 by to get the common denominator? Well, there's the 3 and there's the x minus 2, so it looks like it was just x plus 3 is what you multiplied it by. And now go ahead and distribute. That gives you 8x plus 24. So now that you have all common denominators here, since you have common denominators, we are going to add 15x plus 9x plus 8x. Well, 15 plus 9 is 24, plus 8 is 32x. Negative 30 plus 27 plus 24, and remember I'm getting my pluses from right here. Negative 30 plus 27 is negative 3, and you add 24 to that, you get a positive 21. And what do we have on bottom? We have 3, x plus 3, x minus 2. Can I factor anything out of 32 that I can also factor out of 21? 21, the factors are 1 and 21, 7 and 3. Make that look like a 3. We know that 21 doesn't go into 32. We don't want to use 1. We know 7 does not go into 32, and 3 does not also go into 32. So we cannot factor anything out of the top of the fraction. So therefore, 32x plus 21 over top of that common denominator of 3 times x and 3 times x minus 2 will give you the simplified form of all this. I hope this video helps you out. This will be the last slide that we have on simplifying rational expressions. If you have any questions, let me know.